You ever scroll through your family's vacation photos and feel like you've been erased from your own life? Because that happened to me last summer. My mom, my dad, and my two brothers went to Las Vegas. They hit the Strip, stayed in some glitter palace of a hotel, without me. Not a call, not a text, just silence. And before I tell you what really happened, why Las Vegas doesn't want people like us anywhere near the Strip, you might want to hit that like button. You're going to need something solid to hold on to. I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I'd missed a message. Families fight, right? That's normal. But when they came back, nothing was normal. They smiled too wide. They kept saying things like, Vegas was different this time? Different? What, did they run out of slot machines? Or was the buffet closed? No, what was different was them, their eyes, the way they jumped when the lights flickered, or when a dollar bill hit the floor. I should probably tell you who I am, right? My name's Mason Clark. Or maybe you've heard my family's name before, because apparently the casinos have. See, the Strip remembers us, and it decided to keep us out. Don't ask me how yet. I didn't even know what we had done back then. I just knew that when I tried to book a flight to Vegas after they got back, my ticket was declined. My name flagged. That's when I realized this wasn't about a family argument. It was about something older and darker. And the night I finally found out what my family had hidden under those neon lights, Vegas stopped pretending to sleep. Stay with me. The truth isn't pretty, but it's worth every scar. When I think back on my family, before Vegas, it's almost funny how ordinary we looked from the outside. My dad worked in construction management, the kind of man who measured love in hours and paychecks. Mom handled numbers too, taxes, budgets, spreadsheets. My brothers, Dean and Tyler, were the golden boys. We weren't rich, but we had the look of a family that knew how to keep itself standing. But the truth is, we were built like one of Dad's projects. Polished on top, cracked underneath, waiting for the wrong vibration to bring the roof down. Vegas was always their spot. Every summer they'd joke about family luck, how a Clark could never lose on the Strip. They even had a saying, half a joke, half a dare. What happens in Vegas? Better stay there. I'd laugh too back then. I didn't realize that for my family, it wasn't just a saying. It was a warning disguised as a joke. I remember the last family dinner before it all changed. Mom couldn't stop checking her watch. Dad kept glancing at Dean and Tyler, giving them that silent look parents use when they're hiding something. I tried to join in, asked what the plan was for the weekend. Dean smirked, said they might go see a boxing match in somewhere warmer. Mom's fork clinked against her plate, sharp enough to slice the air. For a second, no one breathed. Then Dad smiled too wide and said, "You've got finals next week. We'll take you next time." Next time, my dad's favorite phrase for never. That night, I heard them packing. Real quiet, careful footsteps, whispers leaking under doors. I almost knocked, almost asked where they were really going, but something in my gut told me to stay silent. Sometimes, silence is your only weapon when you don't know what kind of battle you're walking into. When they left, the house felt wrong, too clean, too still, like someone had taken the energy out of it. I kept catching faint smells of Dad's cologne and hearing the muffled spin of a suitcase wheel fading down the driveway. I spent the first day pretending I didn't care. The second day, I called each of them, straight to voicemail. By the third day, I wasn't pretending anymore. Then came the photos. A friend sent me one from social media. My family in front of a fountain of lights, glasses raised, smiles so artificial they barely looked alive. "Family trip," Dean's caption said. But when you zoomed in, I noticed something no one else seemed to. Behind them, a man in a red jacket was staring straight at the camera, not at the fountain, not at the crowd. His eyes were locked on my family. And if I didn't know better, I'd swear that man looked terrified. I couldn't shake it. Why leave me behind? Why did they look so uncomfortable in the pictures when they were supposed to be having fun? Sometimes you sense when your family isn't just keeping a secret. They're protecting you from it. Or maybe protecting themselves. But that wasn't the strangest thing that week. It was what happened the night they came home. The night my brother Dean started burning old envelopes in the backyard, and my dad whispered, "Never speak of it again." And that's when I knew. Whatever happened in Vegas didn't stay there this time. When they got back, it felt like strangers had broken into my family's bodies and were still learning how to act human inside them. Mom avoided eye contact, burned dinner twice, and kept muttering about noise when the house was silent. Dad started locking his phone, which he never did before. Dean and Tyler looked paler, nervous even. They laughed too loud when nothing was funny and jumped if a lamp flickered. "Jet lag," they said, "but you don't get jet lag from guilt." On day 3, I confronted Dad. He was in the garage, cleaning tools that didn't need cleaning, polishing metal like he was trying to erase invisible blood. I said it straight. "You didn't want me in Vegas, did you?" He froze. His smile appeared slower than usual, fake and thin. "It wasn't that, son. It just wasn't the right time." "The right time? For what?" I pressed harder. He dropped the rag and looked at me with something colder than anger. Something close to fear. "You're lucky you stayed," he said quietly. "We all are." Then he walked out. Not another word. That one line broke my world open. Lucky I stayed? Like Vegas was a disaster zone instead of a vacation? "I tried my brother's next." Tyler laughed me off, said, "You wouldn't have liked it. Too much flashing and noise." Dean avoided me entirely. The whole family was treating Vegas like a dream you weren't supposed to wake from. That night I heard them arguing. I stood outside their door, listening to every fractured sentence. "We can't tell him. He deserves to know. You saw what happened. You want it again?" Mom's voice cracked, whispering, "They said no Clarks on the Strip. They meant it." Then silence. Heavy, thick, like they'd remembered I existed just on the other side of the wall. The next morning I tested something. I opened Dad's laptop when he went for a smoke. Found emails from a hotel. Massive gold-lettered header, the Solaris Grand, Las Vegas Boulevard. I scrolled further. There it was in plain text. "Your family's return visit has been flagged. Please do not attempt to enter Strip properties until further notice. Banned guests list. Clark family banned guests. Not declined members or policy notice. Banned. Like criminals or worse, contagions." I didn't say a word to them. I just stared at each of them differently that day. Like they were part of something rotten, something crawling just beneath their skin. And the more they tried to act normal, Sunday dinners, family TV nights, jokes about traffic, the more the walls cracked. Every sound became suspicious. The ring of a phone, footsteps, whispered names. Then one evening, I checked my credit card statement. There were transactions in Vegas after they'd returned home. Casino charges, room service bills, a suite booked in my mother's maiden name. I called the number listed. The voice that answered wasn't from the hotel, deep, mechanical. "This line is not available to Clarks." Click. That was the moment I stopped being the left-behind son. I became the detective, because whatever Vegas took from my family, it hadn't finished collecting. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my bedroom floor with my laptop glowing in the dark. Every hum of the computer sounding like a heartbeat I couldn't control. If Vegas had marked my family, there had to be proof, something they hadn't erased. People don't just get banned from an entire city for breathing the wrong air. I started digital digging. Emails, deleted texts, cloud backups. My dad wasn't great with tech, which worked in my favor. Buried in an old drive, I found a folder called Receipts Vegas Trip. But when I opened it, it wasn't receipts. It was photos, hundreds of them. Some were normal, casino floors, neon lights, gold ceilings. But every 10th photo or so was blurred, like the camera had been slammed out of focus. In those frames, strange shapes glowed faintly behind my family. Not reflections, not tricks. More like silhouettes in the light itself. I zoomed in on one. The outline looked disturbingly human, but stretched, melted by the Las Vegas neon until it didn't seem alive anymore. At one point, I remember muttering, "What were you all doing there?" Then my Wi-Fi cut out. Middle of the night. Lights flicker, router blinks like a dying heartbeat. I reset it. Nothing. My laptop clock froze at 3:17 a.m. Then, static burst. Hard drive access light flickering even though I wasn't touching it. When it stopped, half the photos were gone, deleted right in front of me. I should have been scared, but you know that feeling when fear and curiosity mix until you can't tell them apart. That's where I was. I wanted it, whatever this was, to reveal itself. So I went deeper. My mother's account was linked to a travel rewards program. I hacked the login through the forgot my password option. The trip reservations were there all right, but for 5 tickets, not 4. Family of 4, 5 seats booked. The 5th name? Mason Clark, my name. At first I thought it was a glitch, but the timestamp said the booking was made 2 weeks before they left. Someone had planned for me to go, meaning someone else decided I wouldn't. The next clue came from an online Vegas message board. I posted a question about the Solaris Grand Hotel, what it was like, any strange experiences there. Most replies were tourist fluff. Then one private message popped up. User Vegas Local 42. Their message read, "You're a Clark? Then stop digging. They don't forget second chances," I replied instantly. Asked what that meant. No answer. Profile disappeared within a minute. Part of me laughed out loud. They don't forget? Who were they? Casino security? A cult? The Nevada Gaming Commission with a grudge? But another part of me noticed something colder. The same day that message appeared, my phone restarted on its own, wiping my recent call logs. By now, the ordinary was officially gone. I felt like I was standing between 2 versions of reality. One where my family took a normal vacation, and the one humming beneath it, full of hidden code and erased faces. So that night, I made my choice. I packed a bag, booked a flight under an alias, and told myself that if the Strip didn't want Clarks, it could tell me to my face. Because if Vegas had banned us, I needed to know what crime we'd committed. The plane landed just after sunset, and the city looked almost innocent from above, like spilled jewelry under a black cloth. But once I stepped out into the Vegas air, the heat carried something else. It wasn't just dry desert wind. It felt charged, like static clinging to my throat. In the cab, my driver asked the usual question. "First time in town?" I said yes. He laughed softly. But when I told him I was heading to the Solaris Grand, his smile collapsed. "Haven't heard that name in a while," he said. The rest of the ride was quiet, except for the meter ticking every few seconds, counting down to whatever waited for me. The Solaris Grand wasn't glowing like the other hotels. It stood apart, lights dimmer, windows tinted black. A gold sign still flickered over the door. A single letter burned out so it read, "So Heiress." I stepped inside anyway. The air smelled of perfume and something sour beneath it, like burnt metal. The clerk behind the desk looked up from her computer, pale as if she hadn't seen sunlight in years. "Reservation?" she asked. Her voice trembled when she read my fake name, but when I showed her my ID, she froze completely. "I'm sorry, Mr. Clark. Our systems won't let me check you in." I leaned forward, pretending calm. "Won't let you?" she whispered. "You shouldn't be here." Behind her, a security guard appeared as if conjured by her words. His walk was too sudden, too direct. He didn't even glance at the desk. "We'll handle this, ma'am." Then to me, "Come with me." I followed. The kind of decision you make before fear catches up. We passed hallways lined with closed doors and walls that seemed to hum faintly. The guard stopped at a massive framed photograph, a black and white shot of the Strip from decades ago. He pointed at it. "You see that group near the front?" I leaned in. A family stood in front of the Bellagio before it was even built. The faces were clear. My father, my mother, Dean, Tyler, and a child between them, maybe 10. A version of me that had never existed in that timeline. When I turned back to the guard, his face had gone white. "You're one of them," I flinched. "One of what?" he whispered. "The Clarks. You have to go." He shoved something small into my hand, an old-fashioned casino chip, the metal scratched and blackened. On its surface, my surname was engraved, letters warped by heat. "If you want answers, go to the Neon Boneyard before midnight. Don't turn around if someone calls your name." The front doors opened behind me with a sound like a sigh. The guard stepped away, lowering his head, and before I could say another word, The lights along the ceiling flickered. Once, twice, and the whole lobby went dark. When the emergency lamps came back on, he was gone. I pocketed the chip, walked out into the glow of the strip, and every billboard seemed to stutter for just a moment, as if the city itself had recognized me. Maybe Dad was right. Maybe I was lucky I'd stayed home last time, but this time, Vegas wouldn't decide who belonged. The neon boneyard was nothing like the polished strip. No glitter, no music, just silent skeletons of old signs stacked like tombstones. I slipped through the gate after dark, the air buzzing faintly from broken wires still alive somewhere under the dust. Rows of rusted metal letters surrounded me, giant S's, glowing red hearts, casino names that once meant fortune, now dead weight. The whole place felt like Vegas's graveyard, and I was walking through its confessional. Midnight crept closer. I held that burned casino chip in my palm. Every few seconds it grew warmer, humming softly, like it could hear something I couldn't. Then, faint footsteps echoed between the signs. I spun around, ready to fight or flee, but it wasn't security. It was him, my father. The same man who'd said, "You're lucky you stayed." His face looked drained, eyes sunken. "Dad?" I whispered. "You followed me here?" He shook his head but didn't come closer. "No, Mason. I came back because it wouldn't let me stay away. None of us can." The words didn't even make sense yet, but the fear in his voice hit me before the meaning did. I stepped closer. "What is it, Dad? Why did the strip ban us?" He stared past me, at the old signs flickering like dying stars. "Your great-grandfather worked on the first casinos here," he said slowly. "He built more than walls. He found something in the desert before Vegas existed. Something buried. Something that runs on more than luck." He took a breath that sounded scraped raw. "He made a deal with it. Every generation of our family won big in Vegas. But we weren't winning. We were feeding it. Every jackpot, every bright light, every show tune. It takes energy. Souls, if you believe the old words." I felt my stomach turn cold. "That's insane," I said, even as the chip in my hand buzzed harder, heating up like it might fuse to my skin. Dad looked at me with quiet desperation. "When we went back last time, the city recognized us. It demanded the debt be paid. Your mother thought if we left you behind it wouldn't notice you. We were wrong. It doesn't forget bloodlines." The air grew heavier. Neon fragments flickered on, one after another, casting red and gold across our faces. The ground seemed to hum under my feet. For a crazy second, the old Vegas signs looked alive, their lights twitching in rhythm, like breathing. I tried to throw the chip away, but my hand clenched without me meaning to. It burned against my skin, branding me with heat so sharp I yelped. My father grabbed my wrist and held it steady as if stopping me from tearing open something worse. "You have to take it back," he said. "That's what it wants." Lightning buzzed across a nearby sign. The noise built into a low roar, like a crowd cheering in the distance. Shapes flickered in the glare. Tall, shadowed outlines merging with the glow, faceless but human enough to freeze my heart. He backed away. We tried running, but the strip always collects. I stared at him, realization crawling up my spine. My family hadn't abandoned me. They'd offered me up. I was the exemption, the surviving heir. Bait left untouched until the curse came due. The chip pulsed a final time, and a whisper, no, a voice, rose from the air itself. Smooth, cold, close to my ear. "Your turn. Mason." And suddenly I understood what Dad meant when he said luck had nothing to do with it. I don't remember falling, only the sand hitting my face and a noise like applause swallowing the night. When I came to, dawn was crawling over the horizon. The signs had gone dark again, and my father was gone. All that remained was the chip, cooled now, sitting perfectly centered on my chest. I stood up on shaky legs, desperate to convince myself that what I'd seen was just the city's tricks of light, but the burns along my palm spelled otherwise. Faint lines forming a pattern. The casino crest from that forgotten Solaris chip. Whatever had branded itself in my skin wasn't going away. Back at my hotel, I tried to act like a man cleaning up a mess instead of surfacing from hell. I scrubbed my hand until it bled. I checked flights home. Everyone declined. Payment restricted by issuer. I called my family's numbers. None existed anymore, disconnected as if they'd never been registered. When I turned on the TV for distraction, every channel glitched at the same moment. Bright letters flickered across the screen. "Welcome back, Clark." That's when it hit me. Vegas doesn't ban people. Vegas keeps them. For hours, I walked the strip in daylight, testing the city's reaction like it was alive. People glanced at me, then immediately looked away, as if my shadow burned too bright. A dealer at a blackjack table met my eyes and froze mid-deal. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, echoing the words the hotel clerk had used. He already won. My great-grandfather, maybe? Or whoever, or whatever, still owned our family's wager. I stood outside the Bellagio fountain as the water danced, all gold light and glory, the part of Vegas everyone adores. But beneath that shine I could feel the hum I'd sensed at the boneyard, the same deep, hungry pulse. I thought about Dad's words, "Take it back," and realized he hadn't meant give up my life. He'd meant carry it. Someone had to keep it contained. So I walked into the nearest casino and flipped the chip onto an empty table. No dealer, no game, just me. For a moment nothing happened. Then the air shimmered, and every light in the lobby dimmed. The chip spun by itself, a faint golden whirl, and fell silent. My hand stopped burning. I guess that's what passes for closure in my family's language. When I left the Solaris Grand for the last time, the security guard from before stood outside the entrance. He nodded at me, eyes hollow but calm now, and said, "Debt settled." Then he disappeared behind the closing doors. Now the strip looks ordinary again. Crowds, laughter, lights brighter than common sense. But sometimes, when I walk past a casino, I catch my reflection in the glass, and my eyes flash the same neon gold that used to dance across the desert sky. The business of Vegas never stops. It just changes dealers. Maybe that's the Clark curse. Always playing, never cashing out. And if you ever see your name glowing faintly in the reflection of a slot machine, turn around, leave, don't test your luck, because luck remembers. Some nights I still hear Vegas breathing. It's not in the wind or the traffic, it's deeper, a rhythm under the pavement that matches my pulse. I live hundreds of miles away now, but the glow still finds me. Neon reflections on my kitchen window, the faint smell of burnt metal when I can't sleep. They say the house always wins. Maybe that's true, but I've learned something they never put on the billboards. Sometimes, the house needs someone to keep the lights running. And I guess that's me now, the reluctant caretaker of its promise and its punishment. Every few months, I get a letter with no return address. Inside, a single chip, different colors, different symbols, always warm to the touch. Each one hums a little when I pick it up, like it remembers the deal. I store them in a box I never open after midnight. Old habits. If you think this story's too strange, good. Your disbelief is your safety net. But if you drop by Vegas soon, keep your eyes half open when you walk the strip after dark. Notice whether the lights blink twice in greeting. Notice if a dealer skips your hand. Because when the city chooses someone, it never says goodbye. It just waits for them to come back. And if you ever hear your last name whispered between the slot machines, don't turn around. Smile, walk straight, and hope the strip forgets your face. If you made it this far, thanks for staying through my story. Hit that like button if you felt the heat of those lights, and remember, luck always costs more than it pays. Stay smart, and whatever you do, don't gamble with your name,